LinkedIn. This is very funny when you're interviewing one of your busy mates. So we're going to have some fun with this. Welcome to another one of the sessions following on from the RDLC in lockdown, which went brilliantly. We've taken the baton to do a session around M&A and maximising shareholder value. So next up is one of my best mates. So we holiday together. So he just said, say what you want about me. So I will say what I want about you. So good luck to you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Wayne Brophy. He's the founder of Alexum. There's an Alex in there. I still think it's for Ferguson, but he will say it's the middle name of his son, just because Kerry will tell him off. He's the founder of Cast UK, which is Europe's #1 logistics and supply chain recruitment business. He's the king of the north for the RDLC, so he's the guy that everyone goes to for advice first. He's a back office god, which will mean something when we explain. So the other people that I've had the luxury of interviewing over the last couple of days are your high market cap. So your mid to high market cap, when they're talking about £1 million investment. Now, for full transparency, Wayne and I are in a business. We've already made investments. We're looking for businesses that are smaller cap. So we're private investors, but we're slightly different. We work with businesses to help them expand. And I'll ask Wayne to say more about that in a minute. Actually, why don't we go straight to the horse's mouth? So say hi, Wayne.
Hello. Nice to see you all and meet you all.
I'm expecting children to be running through the back of this any moment now. So when you're a brand new investor into the recruitment space, what prompted you to do it? And dear God, what prompted you to do it right now of all times?
Okay, so as you know, Gary, we've been working together as you as my advisor, my non-exec director for several years, 4.5 years, in fact. And when we first met 4.5 years ago, one of the things I said I was interested in doing was working with other businesses. And I suppose my kind of ideal would be to work in an advisory capacity or an investor capacity and basically helping other companies. Something that me and you've talked about in the past is what sort of investor do I see myself as? And I'm probably a bit more of a hands-on investor. I want to be involved in businesses. I like helping businesses. I like helping people. And this sort of thing excites me, really. So why now? Well, first of all, it's not a new thing. Like I said, we've been talking about it for a long time. But I suppose we've had more opportunity now, given the market. Now, we've had opportunity probably in the last 12 months of different businesses. One or two that kind of got away, unfortunately. But I suppose more recently, we're seeing more and more opportunities. So it's probably the market that's driving it.
So it's really interesting when we speak to other people. They're not really interested in investments until they're touching that magic £1 million. What might look like a great investment for you? What would that business look like?
So I think we're looking for smaller businesses. We're looking for businesses that are on the verge of the hockey curve. We're looking for businesses that clearly owner managed businesses that are just getting going, just going through the motions of growth, but probably need that extra input, they need that extra advice, they need some additional direction. There are also businesses that might need some capital. What we tend to find is a combination of both. So it's the investment of the capital and financial help, but it's also the hands-on experience that I suppose myself and you have and gained over many years of working in the recruitment sector.
So this is an advisory piece. It's not a sales pitch for us, but we will pitch at the end, obviously. So the idea is to give the recruitment sector a different sense of different styles of investor. So as a small cap private investor, there's probably 3 types of business, isn't there? So you've got your organisations that are looking, they're going brilliantly. They just want to kick on to the next level. Yeah. There's businesses that might have plateaued. And there are businesses that are just struggling. And there's likely to be all 3 at this moment in time, as winners and losers. How do you go through a selection process with an organisation that might be considering working with a private investor?
So I think first and foremost, it's about doing your due diligence. So, really, really basics. Let's understand the financial position. Let's look at their accounts. But for me, it's about getting under the bonnet, really. Let's have a look at their business. Let's understand the people who are driving that business. Look at the directors that are involved. Look at the people who are involved. Again, maybe we're a different style of investor, but it's about hearts and minds as well. We're interested in working with people that actually want to do well, who want to accelerate the business, who want to grow the business. And I think sometimes that passion is not necessarily demonstrable on a balance sheet or a set of accounts. So we're trying to see through that, really. We're trying to, yes, we'll cover off clearly all the basics. We want to make sure we're investing in something that has got potential and is stable. But I suppose ultimately we're investing in the people, really. Other things that we're kind of considering in terms of our due diligence is what market they're in, what potential is in that market. Likewise as well, it's got to be something that we're interested in as well. Have we got an appetite in that market? Do we understand that market? Because we've got to want to, do well in that as well. So I think it's a couple of things. I suppose ultimately is that business a good solid business? Has it got good foundations? Is what I mean. And has it got high potential? That's the sort of things that we kind of look for.
There's also a huge amount of recruiters that start a recruitment business without any experience of managing the book. Even yourself, that you started a recruitment business without working in recruitment. But there are people who start recruitment businesses up who haven't managed teams at all. They've just been a brilliant recruiter, and then suddenly you've got to run the business element of this. And there's elements that if you're working with private investors, that they can take huge amounts of that pain and effort away to actually facilitate, keep that time back, so that the recruitment business leader can actually crack on and do what they're brilliant at and know they've always got someone to tap into. So in terms of the back office that a typical private investor might give, what are the services that we could give as an example to someone who we invested in?
Yeah, so I've run a recruitment business for over 15 years. So if there's a mistake to be made, I've probably made it. And what we're trying to do is mitigate that with anyone that we're kind of working with. So we don't want them making mistakes. We don't want them costing them money and getting it wrong. So when we start working with a business, it's about putting in the right processes, the right procedures with the right tech to make sure we can scale as quickly and fast as possible. So things that we're introducing is good financial and accountancy practices, good marketing, good processes, good systems, looking across good hiring techniques for internal hiring, good onboarding, good training packages. And basically all the stuff that you associate with running a successful, well-run, well-organised business. And what we want the recruitment business owner to focus on is just growth, and finding good revenue and good sales for that business, really.
It also can expedite things such as automation. So we're looking at investment into bots, the latest in terms of technology. So the things that might be pipe dream for someone at the moment, especially in this marketplace, we can actually just say we can trigger processes and rec tech that will take a business from being mid-table to being a Liverpool, just to wind you up, and actually
United.
It still came third. So there's lots of opportunity out there for people. But what would you say from the business owner's perspective, if there were a checklist of things that they should look at in terms of an investor into them? So I remember Dean saying that he sold his business. The first day he sold his business, he'd never felt poor in his life. So you've got to be used to the emotional attachment that you have to your business, and suddenly somebody else owns half of it. Yeah. But also the day that he bought it, that organisation put out a profits warning, and he hadn't done any DD on the people throwing money in. So it's what would you say are the important things to do when someone is looking at the person to invest and go into partnership with?
Yeah, so it's certainly not a one-way process. You're absolutely right. I think it's also the people looking for investors. So I think their due diligence is understanding me, understanding you, understanding our style, the way that we work. A lot of it comes down to relationships. Ultimately, we are not a hands-off investors. We're investors that want to to be part of that business. We're passionate about being part of that business. And actually, you know, to coin the phrase, you're buying a pound of flesh from us, and you know, we want to be heavily involved. So first of all, it's understanding that. I think if people are looking for investment and really, really like touch and never see us, I don't really think that's our style. Our style will be, we are regularly contacting people. The people we invested in now, we are contacting them pretty much every day. We speak to them most days, either on the phone or via WhatsApp or email. So yeah, you know, it's about them wanting to work with ourselves and understanding us as people. Really, it's that relationship piece.
There's also a point that we wouldn't have got into this right here, right now, if there wasn't a gap in the marketplace for it. So there are a lot of people who will invest in either startups or scale-ups or turnarounds. But you do have to be really mindful, because, you know, without being mean about it, there's shysters out there, and you'll start going into a partnership with someone, and before you know it, you've lost your business. Now, we've got a very strong moral compass in terms of what we want to do, how we work with people, and transparency is our middle name. So, Alex, when it comes to your son. So it's understanding and talking to people where they have made investments, and actually what do they get for it, and who's going to be willing to put the effort in. So rather than they sit there and paying 10 grand a month for your back office, just getting rinsed for your cash, there's got to be fair and reasonable in everything that we do.
And it's interesting actually, because before really looking at the investment market, I possibly didn't understand that as much, and now I do, and I certainly recognise there are, to coin your word, some shysters around. There are lots of people out there that are quite literally taking the piss. You know, they're taking money out of companies, which they don't, in my opinion, they don't deserve, and they're not working hard enough, they're not putting enough effort in, and they're not helping those recruitment business leaders really take that business forward. What they're actually doing is using that as a way to take money off the table from them, and that, for me, I think is ridiculous, and I think that spoils the recruitment industry. So that's not us, that's not me, it's not my way, it's not my value set. You know myself, Gary, I'm a massive value-led person, and doing the right thing by people is really important to me. And I want to work with people where they are proud of me, and I'm proud of working as part of that brand, because that's really, really important for me as an individual to do the best I possibly can to help that business. Yes, I'm an investor, but you know, I also want to do the right thing by people, which is help them grow their business to be as successful as it possibly can be.
I think one of the questions that people need to ask as well, that we've got a mindset here as a PE house. I mean, with this, how arrogant and full of myself, but actually we're doing this on a small scale. The idea is we get involved in the business, we help them get some momentum into what they're doing. We're quite willing to tap out of that if there's the next brand or a next investment that can actually take them forward. So we don't mind taking a small hit. What we're not going to do is stifle the growth of businesses. And that's one of the things that private investors have been known to do. So people need to be very mindful of what the long-term aim of the investor is in this, because otherwise it's very hard to untie some of these relationships if you're not going in the same direction. So I think we're both of a mind. So if you think of Nigel Frank, the investors they had, I think they're on the third lot now. So the investors were in, they take their ticket, off they go. The next investors come in, throw more money in to scale the next part of that growth. So it's about facilitating a development piece. So if you had any advice about working with advisors or taking money, what would that bit of advice be? Because I know you're going to go. The beautiful weather in Manchester, I've got to assume you're just about to go and do a barbecue, because you only get about 3 days a year to do it. So what would be that, to finish off, what would that be, that single bit of advice for someone who might be considering this at this moment in time?
So I would say do it. I don't think it's as scary as what people think. Do your due diligence on the people you want to work with. And it's relationships. You know, as an investor, where do we realise our value? Is when we made that business a success. So if that business is not a success, then we've wasted our time and effort and ultimately our money. So we're fully in for this. You know, the money I'm investing in as an investor is my own personal money. It's my kids' inheritance, should I say? So it means a lot, and I want to do the best by people. So My advice is to work with people you can work with, because if you can't work with your investor, it's never going to work in itself. Do your due diligence on that, and to make sure you've got good people around you. I think me and you as a partnership is a really good yin and yang. You know, we're similar in a lot of things, but we're also different in a lot of things as well. I think you're massively creative, very, very sales focused, and you bring a lot to anyone thinking about looking for an investor. I would say I'm a bit more considered. I don't know, I'm not sure, but certainly in terms of process, procedure, back office, marketing, and support, and allowing that recruitment business leader to get some real focus on growing the business. I can take some of that pain away, and that works really, really well. Plus, combine that with the RDLC and the wider network we've got as with our fellow friends, recruitment business owners, we can always pull on help and advice across the network as well. So obviously I'm biased, but I think we've got a real value proposition for anyone who's looking for an investor today.
Thank you, mate. Hope to see you really soon. I'm sorry I didn't make Manchester. I'll see you and see you before Ibiza. Yeah, so definitely. Conference, here we come. No I'll let you go. Brilliant. Right. Thank you very much.
Take care. See you, Gary. See everyone. Bye.
Bye.